Doma Sports Talk worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now, I'm gonna do my man a solid and do an extra video for my man Danny Garcia, two-division champion, went up to 154 to fight Jose Benavidez. They both actually went up. Danny Garcia looked very good after a long layoff. Looked very good. Put on the weight well. Everything went well for him. I'm not going to get into it so much, but I will say this, that the man, he looked good in all, facets of the game, right? In certain fights, Danny Garcia has to walk somebody down, use his power. Certain fights, he has to, box on the outside. Danny Garcia showed combinations. He showed body work for sure, and he showed his defense, which people underestimate. He didn't really have to show his chin too much. He wasn't caught with clean shots, but he did what he had to do. He got a split decision against the guy, Jose Benavidez, but it was a unanimous decision. I think he can go away from the fight looking pretty damn good. We'll see what Danny Garcia does in the future at 154. It's going to be a problem. I think 154 is not going to be an easy division for Danny Garcia, but we'll probably have to see the boxing side of Danny Garcia when you're talking about the upper echelon of the 154-pound division. Danny Garcia is somebody that I want to give a whole video to, which I'm going to do in a few days. Not about the fight, because that's been a while now, but some things for what he's going to do going forward. But he's a fighter that I've never been against in a fight. It's funny, because lots of times early in his career, he's always a underdog. Matter of fact, not early in his career. Most fights, he's the underdog in the fight. And I'm like, I like this guy. He's an underdog, so I always was going for him. It's not a fight where I wasn't going for Danny Garcia before. Like the guy very much, as a matter of fact. So, and he's going to probably be the underdog in most fights going forward. So let's see what happens going for him. Congratulations. Jose Benavidez has got to do something here. If he doesn't want to become a journeyman, he's he's too good to be a journeyman. But if you mess around and you keep, giving these lackluster fights, and all they're doing is posing, he looks tough all the time, but you're gonna have to start winning these fights. That can't be how it is in the future with Jose. So let's see what happens going forward. I think he's talented enough, big enough to do something at 154. But his next couple of fights, he's going to have to show and prove. He's probably just going to have to start walk through the people and don't give a damn what happens. Let's see what happens going forward. This video is not about that. This video is about number 2 pound for pound Demetrius Andrade. Now, I'm seeing videos about Demetrius Andrade should position himself a little bit better by going up to 168 and fighting Zach Parker, and then then he'll be positioned to be Canelo's mandatory, and or try to fight Charlo and this and just all these things that he should do. He's made wrong career decisions, right? And I disagree. Right? I just really disagree. I think it's very hard to say that champions are making the wrong decisions. Right? It's not about the wrong decisions. It's about what the boxing industry is not letting happen. And I think that everyone else that is keen to what is going on with fighters, such as Demetrius Andrade, should just stop with the shenanigans, stop playing the game with them. We shouldn't be telling the champion to do anything. I should position myself to get in a fight with Canelo if I beat Zach Parker at 168 pounds. First of all, that's not what they were going to do. They were going to make him fight Benavidez too, which is not even a WBO. Right? So I don't think that, I'm hearing because he might want to fight Chris Eubank Jr., that he should be trying to fight somebody else like a Charlo or a Benavidez or something right now instead of a Chris Eubank Jr. What does that fight do? Well, when you're in Demetrius Andrade's position, a Chris Eubank Jr. fight doesn't sound too shabby, because your interims and mandatories that were coming up, right? The Quigleys and the Liam Williamses of the world, they're from England. So England, you were over there at the zone, couldn't get fights, but you're getting your exposure in England a little bit. So you're also in a fight with Billy Joe Saunders, who he got doped for. So England probably knows him. Eubank means something in England, not only because of him, but his father is a legend. So maybe go over there and make some money, because the American scene, right, is not even calling him a top pound for pound fighter when Demetrius Andrade. They keep calling Canelo is. And he's been in positions before. You know, we keep acting like, he's somebody, he's some prospect. The man's 34 and he's been a champion since 2013 when Canelo was his mandatory, right? Now, Canelo didn't have to fight him at 154 as his mandatory, and then he doesn't have to fight. Now his mandatory is Jaime Munguia, and Jaime Munguia doesn't have to fight him, right? So I think that Andrade, when we're talking about positioning himself, let's make sure he's clear. You can't get in better positions than he's been in terms of fighting Canelo or Gennady Golovkin, right? When you're talking about positions, what do you say? What are the things that make a person want to fight you, right? Right? You want the belt. Normally to make a fight, oh, you got a belt. Well, at 154, he had the belt. He was the champion. Canelo didn't fight him. At 160, he's got the belt. And Canelo won't fight him, and Jaime Munguia, his mandatory, won't fight him. You can't get better positioned than having a belt. You can't just say, hey, like all of a sudden he's going to go there and be somebody's mandatory, and now they're going to, something that's going to mean something. We live in the age of them just making up a franchise title. So Canelo didn't have to fight his mandatory in Charlo. So what if I'm supposed to go up here and believe that I'm his mandatory now at WBO at 168 because I beat Zach Parker and Benavidez, that now they're going to force him to when they didn't in the other situations? No. So he had a belt, right? How much credit would you get by beating Demetrius Andrade? All of it in the world. They don't say things before, but if Canelo were to beat Demetrius Andrade, he'd be in the GOAT conversation. Right away, they would put him directly in the GOAT conversation. Immediately. Everyone knows that. So you would get the credit and the praise if you would have beat Demetrius Andrade, right? And, also 160 pounds, remember, you would have been undisputed at a middleweight division. So you would have got undisputed at middleweight division and beat Demetrius Andrade by doing it. GOAT status, right? That's GOAT status. So what other position? Now we're talking about you had the belt. That position didn't help you. You had the belt for him to become undisputed, right? And beating you at the next weight. That position didn't help you. And now, what is the other thing that you need when you need a big fight? You start, hey, the damn money. Money better be right. Well, the highest payday in Canelo's career he would have had by fighting Demetrius Andrade for undisputed. You don't get no better position than that. So I don't think it's just ridiculous for us to be coming in here talking about what positions Demetrius Andrade got to get in to get Canelo. And GGG. All this time I'm at 160 wanting to fight DGG as well. Triple G. So it ain't no positioning, like he went to the zone to be with GGG and Canelo so he can get to become the measuring stick, because if he's going to fight Charlo and Andrade and Charlo, what most people want to see, because they don't want him to fight Canelo or Gennady Golovkin, well, the problem with that is we both don't have the measuring stick of one of these busters, Canelo or Gennady Golovkin. We need that measuring stick so our fight wouldn't be so significant. Because if we don't have that measuring stick and they can keep saying that they're better, then they're going to act like our fight is nothing. The winner is whatever. He's just the winner there and nothing else. Right? We don't want that. And all this time that we're talking about all these fights and Canelo and Gennady Golovkin and all that stuff, Demetrius Andrade speaks English too. We keep ignoring that. We go through fights with we having to, barely speaking English, subtitles and stuff. We don't have that with Demetrius Andrade, right? So listen, man, Demetrius Andrade ain't got to do a damn thing and nothing else no more to get in position to do nothing. There is no bigger positions that he's been in already. So what has to happen is not them doing anything else. He's done everything. Demetrius Andrade can't even go to Canelo or Gennady Golovkin's press conferences. Right? Remember the last one he was able to be called a horrible fighter and get him out of here? Get the fuck out of here, right? And we laugh at him with Canelo for saying that. We laugh at him for calling this guy a horrible fighter. Well, I'll see you in the Yildirim fight. Right? It's our problem. We're the ones. Canelo needs to be boy. You're not watching nothing until you fight Andrade, period. Or Charlo, to a lesser extent. And I'm saying lesser extent. Andrade, that's the one he don't want to fight the most. And he should have props for being that guy. Right? Oh, he missed a fight with. So heard something like, yeah, he missed a fight with Charlo. Where they offered him some money a couple of years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, a couple of years ago. And without even looking, I know when that was. That's when he was trying to secure a fight with Canelo for undisputed for $40 million. right? And then something else is going on right now. Wait a minute, I'm about to get Canelo. Dude, Canelo means a lot for anybody of color. If Demetrius Andrade were to fight him, it means enough for Charlo too. It means something because we can finally get him in the ring with one of us, and then our fight is bigger because we have a measuring stick. If not, they're gonna keep saying neither one of us can beat him. That's what they're gonna keep saying, right? They're gonna keep him away from us and say neither one of us can fight him, and Gennady Golovkin too. So that's why that was imperative that somebody forced him. I'm your champion, and you won't fight me as my mandatory. I'm a champion. You won't fight me for undisputed and the most money. We don't have no side of the street issues because I was at the zone with you guys. You and Gennady Golovkin. What else we going to ask this man to do? Right? Oh, well, now he should have fought this and he should have went there. No, I'm trying to secure the biggest thing that helps us all. We got to get somebody to measure with Canelo. Now, the problem is, and at the zone, he told Chris Mannix off. Stop talking about Charlo and all those other people. I'm right here at Canelo and I'm a champion. Stop acting like I have to look good in the fight. I have to do this and I have to do that. All the other Canelo opponents don't have to do that. Stop coming here on TV asking like that. That's what has to happen. That has to happen throughout the media. Not just the media that we call mainstream. Everyone has to stop talking about Canelo and Gennady Golovkin and anything else. If they're not fighting Demetrius Andrade or Charlo, then who gives a damn? And then we want to do is all of the fighters that Canelo ain't gonna fight. Hey, fight each other so we can get to this guy who's scared of you all. What does that mean? Just stop it. And there ain't no interviews and stuff. Canelo does an interview, whatever. If Canelo calls out Demetrius Andrade, that's the interview we watch. Any other thing is patronizing. Anyway, I'm gonna cut it off here because I can go all day about that. No, Demetrius Andrade is not gonna get in the right position to fight Canelo by beating nobody because he's been in the damn right position for 10 years now. Doma Sports Talk worldwide, and I'm up out of here, y'all.